What's up, everyone? In this video, I'm going to be talking about the current retro game and system prices and trade values at GameStop and just how crazy this whole thing has become. I don't do these type of videos very often, but when I do, I try to give as much factual information as I can, just a little bit of my personal opinion. I don't rant about it. I figure you guys will have your own opinions, and please let me know what they are in the comment section down below. Give the video a thumbs up if you don't mind. Now, this is also my little fact list. I've jotted down, looks like a crazy man's handwriting here. I'm going to probably be referring to this quite a bit. To give you a starting point on this whole topic, it was only about 9 months ago when GameStop even announced they were going to be taking in retro stuff as trade and then selling it on their website. And it was just over 6 months ago when they actually started selling it on the website. So this is still a very new thing, obviously. Prices on all this retro stuff have gone up and down. They've, adjusted it here and there. And the trade values have too. Where I want to start talking about is with the systems. They are taking in both games and systems for PlayStation, Genesis, Dreamcast, NES, SNES, and N64. Now, the system prices, when they first had announced all of this, were fairly okay. They weren't too crazy. I don't remember the exact prices on like the day they put them up on their website, but I remember they definitely weren't like crazy over eBay or anything like that. And then the trade values they were giving for them were pretty decent too. They were actually just a little bit more than 50% of what they were going to sell the systems for. To give you an idea of where we are at today, though, an N64 system, if you went to go buy one off their website, it's just a generic stock photo, obviously, of a charcoal gray 64. It's going to be $75 now for a gray 64. Now, granted, you might get a colored version or you might get a special edition one. If you got a Pikachu edition for 75 bucks, that would be pretty damn decent. But you have no idea, obviously, and you don't even know if it's going to come with an expansion pack or a jumper pack for $75. The trade value on it now is 35 bucks, which is not bad in my world because I would sell a 64 for like $40 or so. So that's not too much lower than what I'd personally even sell one. I'll run down the list here. SNES systems, same thing, trade value $35. They sell them now for two different prices because now they are officially splitting up the original SNES and then the mini SNES systems, 75 bucks for the original and $90 for a mini one. They weren't doing that when it first started. They were giving the same amount of trade credit, and then if you went to buy a Super Nintendo system off the site, you could have gotten either or. NES systems, $30 trade credit, $70 for an original one, and then for the top loader, $90 for a top loader. That price isn't that crazy if you get a dog bone controller with it, because that's sort of around what they're going for on eBay, if not actually a little bit less than eBay. But you'd have to get a perfectly mint, amazing, almost brand new conditioned Super Nintendo or NES at $75 to make it even remotely maybe worth it, but that's too much for those consoles. Genesis systems, the 3 different models, they're only given one trade-in price. Remember, there's only one trade-in value for all these. It's 20 bucks, and then the 3 different versions, $40 for the original model, and then the second or third models are both 45 each. Dreamcast, $25 trade-in, selling for 50, and then PlayStation I'm going to mention because those prices aren't high at all. So the system prices, unfortunately, they're being split up now depending on the different versions. You're not getting any extra if you trade in one of the harder-to-find versions, but they've definitely gone up quite a bit in price. Another thing to mention with the systems, and actually some of the harder to find, more desirable games, is that they currently don't have them in stock for sale on the website. We are just out of the holiday season. I'm sure obviously a lot sold around that time, and I'm not sure when the system prices and sort of that like split up of the regular and mini or top loader versions of certain ones happened, but the prices that are up there currently right now, the trade values don't really reflect what they're going to be selling them for because the trade values haven't really changed very much. At most, on some of the systems, they've gone up maybe like $5 to $10, while the system prices have doubled in some of the cases. What kind of worries me a little bit is that I have heard, like locally, from different people that deal in video games that, oh look, GameStop right now has listed on their website $70 or $75 for a certain system that we were selling for 40, 50 bucks. I'm going to raise the price on it to $50 or $60 now, to try to compete. Are they really, is GameStop really actually selling these systems at the $75, $90 price mark? It's kind of hard to tell because they don't have them in stock right now. And like I said, the prices have changed quite a bit just in the last couple months. So did they sell more frequently at those lower prices and then they kind of got raised up and now they're not really selling? I don't have that answer, unfortunately. Now with the games, the trade values from back when they started this and some of the harder to find ones have actually dropped, because sort of like the middle ground trade value for some of the harder to find games back then was about $50. I think one game was trading maybe for a little bit higher than that, but usually right around $50 was the most you were going to get for any rare game. Now the most is $35, but the sale prices haven't changed at all. To give you an example, like Bomberman's Second Attack now only trades in for $35, but costs $200, which is over the regular market value for that game. Earthbound only trades in for $25 now, but costs $220. Again, over the average going rate. Aero Fighters, to give you one more example, $35 trade credit, costs $430. So the trade credits have gone down. The prices have either stayed the same or maybe even gone up a teeny bit in some cases. I know the reason why this is happening, and that's because they have had fakes. They've had people trade in fakes and sold the fakes and probably had to deal with, the refunds and the issues. So they're not looking to give out, $50, $100, $200 for a game in either cash or store credits and then have someone be like, oh, I bought this and it's fake, and now, they've basically wasted their time and their money. They need to figure out a better way. If they want to keep doing this, which I've heard other people say this too, obviously, they need to figure out a better way to, if they're going to take these really rare items or desirable items in, to check them, maybe limit this, the amount of stores that are even taking this stuff, because I know not every store takes it, but even limit it even smaller to specialty trained stores that have the actual screwdrivers that can open up the carts and check inside of them before they even go back, things like that, because no one, I would, if someone's even faking the damn game, why would you take in and get $25 for an Earthbound? The amount of work to fake it or whatever wouldn't even be worth it. To then go and see it for sale for $220, that just absolutely is mind-boggling to me. The trade values, they have a SKU now to take in any game. Even if it's not in their listing, they have trade values for a generic game. So if you bring in any game on the NES or Super Nintendo or whatever, they can take it in. It'll be traded in under a generic SKU. The amount that you will get for that game, for the generic SKU, is a nickel. You get 5 cents. I don't even know. They don't have, this is where it gets really weird, is they don't have certain games like Little Samson or Flintstone Surprise Dinosaur Peak, or other hard-to-find rare games in the inventory to search and pull up and be like, oh, Flintstones? Oh, we'll at least give you $50 or for it or whatever. No, it would come up as not in there, and if the person was like, yeah, just trade it anyway, it would be a nickel, 5 cents. I would offer like $1 on almost anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Even if it's a old sports title for Nintendo, it's still worth at least $1. Where the fuck did they get a nickel from? Where did they even get that value? I don't understand that. The disc-based game prices and trade values are probably the fairest because there's a good chance you are not going to get the complete package. You're not going to get the original case possibly, or the manual, or if they had extra, little goodies in there or whatever, there's a really good chance you might be just getting the game disc. So when you go look up some of the like RPG games and stuff on like the PlayStation 1 or some of the like good fighters on the Dreamcast, the prices are actually in some cases lower than the average value, like if you looked on eBay, but that's because they're pricing it at, you could just be getting the disc, you might not be getting the other stuff. So if you're just looking to play the game, though, that's not a bad route to go buying the disc-based retro games from GameStop. I think I've covered mostly everything on this list. Like I said, I didn't want to try to rant too much. I know I got a little bit ranty there. But to wrap this up, to put it in a nutshell, we're about, like I said, a little over 6 months into this. Prices have gone up and down. If you're looking for like a Mario 3 or a Mario World or something, the prices aren't crazy. The trade-in values aren't, god-awful or whatever. It's the systems mainly, and then some of these harder to find games that if they're wanting to deal with and deal in, They need to come up with a better way to figure this out. And if now they're wanting to charge $90 for, a top loader, or $90 for the Super Nintendo Mini, then they need to be offering more trade value. You can't just change how much we're gonna split it over on this end and sell it to you for different prices, but the trade value is still the same. We're gonna give you $30-35 no matter which one it is. And then do the same thing with the colored systems. Have a chart. There's not that many colored N64s that came out here. I mean, you can easily make up a little chart in the computer system to just add those in and be like, oh, well, these ones will get this much, these ones will get a little bit more. Figure it out, GameStop. Tighten this up a little bit, because right now they're going a little crazy. And I'm worried that, like I said, I've firsthand experienced a few people locally that have adjusted their prices based on just the fact of how much GameStop is now charging for these systems. Because they're going to reference them like, hey, look at GameStop. They're asking $90. I'll sell it to you for $60 or $70. Anyway, thank you for watching. Let me know down below what you think of this whole thing. Please give the video a thumbs up, and I will talk to you all later. Peace.